What's up, YouTube? On this episode, we mock up the hot side. What is up, FOXBODY Nation? Welcome back to my garage. Welcome back to the House of Dula, and welcome to part 2 of the On3 turbo install on my little 86 Fox back here behind me. If you're just now following, first off, I welcome you. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for showing up, finally. But in part 1, this is part 2, in part 1, I went over basically the fuel and oil to the turbo kit. So we ran the feed line. We ran the feed line off the T in the side of the block that On3 provided us, and we ran the feed line that will go to the turbo on the passenger side, and then we also went ahead and put back in the oil pressure sending unit that goes to my Alternator gauges inside the cab, and we also installed the 60-pound Deca Siemens injectors. So obviously need more fuel, so we installed those guys. What else did I do? I installed the valve, that's the drain back valve in the side of the oil pan, so that was already welded and ready to go, but we went ahead and screwed it in. So the oil and fuel really is pretty much ready. We also installed the oil filter 90-degree elbow relocation. So this is a Ford Racing product. It moves the oil filter, allows you to run a full-size oil filter, but moves it coming from straight out the block to basically straight down on the side of the block or straight away from the block. It puts it at a 90-degree angle from the block and gets it out of the way of these headers. We're going to do a quick run over on how the hot side works on a turbo and why it's important. And we're going to go over the plan. This is simply mocking up because I will be taking the stuff back off that will get it ceramic coated. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, I've got my hot side laid out here. You can kind of see the components that On3 comes with. Basically, you got your passenger side. It'll go, of course, like this onto this section here. You got your driver's side. Excuse me. You have your driver's side header, which connects to your crossover tube, which is going to be here. It goes across the front of the motor below it, and of course, you've got your coupler that goes up to your other crossover pipe that connects to the other side of the passenger side header. So these two will connect like that, and then basically connect into here, something like this, and then your turbo connects here. So your turbo is 100% driven, of course, by exhaust pressure, so it's really important that everything is sealed up. You don't want exhaust leaks on a turbo system by any means. So, you know, the difference between obviously a turbo and a supercharger is they're belt driven. They're driven off the crank, and the same thing is belt slip. You don't want exhaust pressure leak, because any exhaust pressure leak you have in your system here is going to cause spool issues, or could cause spool issues when the turbo is mounted up here. So this gives you an idea. This is the hot side. There's nothing else to it. I did put my flanges on a belt sander to make sure these are perfectly flat. Again, I'm trying to avoid any kind of leaks, so I've done it on both of these here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get the exhaust off this car so we can start fitting all this stuff up. Make sure it works. And then we'll take it all off and get it ceramic coated. now that we have the headers off on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and mock up the turbo headers just to see kind of what's going to be in the way and what's out of the way. So we're going to just slide this in, and what we'll do is we'll just get this in good enough here with a couple bolts just to hold it. And again, this is just mock up, so I'll tell you already that we're going to have problems with this AC line. So I can tell you right now, the AC line is already in the way, as well as my cables here for the alternator. I'm almost there, but it is right up against. I've gotten the AC lines kind of, this upper one kind of moved up, twisted out of the way. This lower one I've bent slightly this way just to move it out, and put the lip of it right here on the side of this rail, and then hug this cable up against the fender. What we can do is put this right up against the shock tower with some C-clamps to hold it up against here, put some heat shielding over this AC line here, and then clamp it down tight to the side of the shock tower. But with that, and with moving the alternator cables, I just unplugged them for right now, draped them down so they're not in the way. It looks like we've got quite a bit more room, so let's test fit it now and see how much better it is. Let's get a bolt or two in here just to hold it. Now that I got the passenger side turbo header installed, you can clearly see all the clearance issues, guys. Look at this mess, man. This is crazy. So my AC line is touching the header all the way on the top here. It's actually, the header's butt right up against it. And same thing on this side. So as the AC line continues on through here, it's basically resting up against this lip and touching the headers. There's no way for it to go anywhere else but up and rebend this line. So we're going to have to actually tweak these lower lines quite a bit. And then there's the upper line. The upper line runs right above where the turbo should be. So it's going to go right above here, which I guess could probably work as long as we put enough heat shielding on it, as long as it's not on the hot side. I don't know. I don't think this is going to work. This is going to melt the crap out of this cable. And then there's the fuel pressure gauge, which I know needs to be moved. It's in a bad spot. I didn't put it there. It kind of came how the motor is. But we are getting new fuel rails. That's something I didn't say in the last video or even talk about. Even when I did the oil and fuel video, I kind of talked to some people, and to be on the safe side and make sure that enough fuel is always in the fuel rails, so we're going to get a larger diameter fuel rail. I went ahead and ordered a BBK fuel rail kit, which is going to be way more than enough than this car will ever need. So it ought to work really good. Anything more than that, I'm going to have to increase the lines going to the tank. So for what I'm doing, it's going to be perfect, but I did go ahead and replace the fuel rail kits. When I do that, we're also going to have to move this guy out of the way, either put a Schrader valve back on it and relocate this, or put this at a 90-degree angle and point it upwards, because I can tell you right now it's just going to be sitting up against the turbo housing. We'll know more when I stop the turbo on. We'll do that in a second. First, let's get the other side in and see if we can't hook up the crossover pipe from header to header to really see underneath the car how much inner clearance or interference, how much interference I'm going to be running into. Okay. That went in a hell of a lot easier. Okay, well that side actually went in really nice and easy. I'm surprised. It's not hitting anything. It is awfully close to a lot of things. I can tell you one thing it's hitting is all this electrical cable. This electrical cable here I've got to move. This is again my alternator. We're going to have to extend it, lengthen it, relocate it, do something with it. You've also got a ground cable down there. It's right there next to my steering rack. And this cable I did bend backwards a little bit. That's for your clutch cable. So I bent the clutch cable bracket to the frame here backwards. It needs to be redone anyways. It's kind of sloppy, but nonetheless it's in there. And I've got miles of clearance between this header and my oil filter relocation. Let's go check out the underside of this thing. Yeah, so lots of electrical cable. The power steering lines are close but not touching, which is good. Let's see here. We're gonna have to relocate, probably tweak these cables a little bit. The oil leak there is nice. That's from me changing the oil earlier. But nonetheless, there is clearance. Now look how close the sway bar is to hitting. And one of the members on the club did mention that to me and said that, you know, if he had actually get shorter end links to bring the bar out towards the front of the car more, which makes more sense now that I'm looking at it on why he had to do that, because as soon as I put weight on the wheels, it's going to push that sway bar up towards the frame of the car and essentially going to hit it. So you can see that clearance right there. It's just too close. But the oil, I was worried about the oil filter. It's nowhere near it. So the header, you can see right there. It's hard to see all this stuff up here, guys. There's just a lot of stuff in the way. So that's there. There is the other side of our crossover. So the next step is to really just get the go ahead and get the crossover pipes hooked up. What is a V-band, Mike? Plenty you shall ask. These are the V-bands. Now a lot of people say the On3 V-bands are junk. We're going to see how they work. They don't feel like complete junk. They also don't feel like they're all that. They call them V-bands because, well, they're V-shaped, channeled on the inside here. So this is where your flat mating surfaces will go up against the exhaust housing, and this will wrap around it, clamp it together, and the V-shape forces the two pieces into each other, which gives it obviously the clamping force. The On3 Turbo Kit does make it easy for you to know which one is which, because there are only two sizes. There's 3-inch V-bands and there's a 2.5-inch V-band clamp. So it's really easy. I've got two of them. I'm not really sure why. We've got one for here. That's a 3-inch. This will go right like this on the driver's side header. That'll connect to the ball joint on this side here. And then the 2.5-inch V-band will go into here. Like that. So this is how it ties everything up. We're going to go ahead and snake this under and see how it goes. Don't forget this port right here. This is important. I haven't talked about it. We will go over it later, but this is for your wastegate. And your wastegate is going to go onto here, and the wastegate is what controls boost. So it controls boost by regulating the amount of exhaust pressure into the turbo. So regulating the exhaust pressure is what speeds it up and speeds it down. As it hits a boost level, this basically is just an air operated valve. It opens up, lets the exhaust gases escape, which stops the turbo from spooling, which makes it not increase boost anymore. This weight gate is 100% manually controlled by a valve we'll be installing, so I'll be able to manually control the boost just by turning a knob. So let's get these in. Okay, I left it loose, a little bit loose, but I can still twist it if I had to twist it. So the V-clamp is now tight. Okay, no, I don't take you on all my journeys with me underneath the car because it's a pain in the butt to film. Let's look at this. These are two crossover pipes. This right here is the one that On3 or LMR had sent to me to replace this one because it has a gouge in it. When I bolted this one up, I was a good, I don't know, let's say about 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches off the collector part. Actually, where this the ball joint mates up to the other side, this guy was a good 2 inches off and getting any close to hitting or touching and being able to clamp up to the driver's side header. So I'm looking at these and I'm like, well, let me try the one that originally came with the kit. This one works. This one fits right up, no problems. Everything looks pretty good. So I start looking at these. I'm like, holy crap, these things are completely two different shapes. So guys, this is notorious. This is the crap you get with the aftermarket in a lot of cases. This is crap you get with Chinese-made junk. So, not calling the kit junk, not yet, but this kind of stuff pisses me off because you're almost guaranteed to get something to come in with their kit that's either wrong or, I don't know, or damaged. Like in this case, this guy was damaged. So you trust the company to get your money's worth. I still paid $1,500. I don't care how you look at it. I still paid $1,500 and I wanted the right part. Luckily LMR sent me this one. They said, well, go ahead and keep that one Thank God I kept this one and didn't send it back, because I'm going to have to now fix that, which I'm going to take my chances on fixing, because I personally feel like it's better for me to fix it myself than try to rely on the company to send me the right part to begin with. So this would work if I were to take 2 inches out of here, which I could do. I can cut it out, put it together, and re-weld it. So that's an option if we had to do it. However, I think I'm better off in this case just even grinding this smooth. I don't even know if I have to weld it, because you still got your mating surfaces, which is perfectly flat all around here. There's a little lip right here. We can grind that down and just call it a day. I don't think this is going to damage anything or create an exhaust leak per se, but since it came in damaged, I wanted to take the time to get the right part. That being said, let me go ahead and get this one in so you can at least see what it looks like, and we can get an idea of everything that's in the way. Alright, man, so the hot side is mocked up. It looks pretty good. It fit actually fairly well, at least with this pipe, not the one they sent me, and that's okay. We'll just have to use this one. So again, this is just mock-up. We're going to take everything back off to get it ceramic coated, but I want to make sure I got all my ducks in a row. You can see that the piping here is close to the frame on the passenger side that is on the driver's side, so meaning the angles towards the front here on the passenger side, and that may be perfectly normal just based on how the cold side is going to run. You can see it a little bit better from here, so you can see it kind of snake towards the front of the car this way on this end. So the next step is going to have to get the turbo on and get the alternator moved over with the alternator relocation bracket. So that's going to be covered in this video as well. We'll go ahead and move the alternator over so we can get the turbo on and make sure that the turbo is in place, so then we can really get an idea of how much other stuff is going to be in the way, especially the AC lines. That is the purpose of this video. Unfortunately, it's not going to be as entertaining as finishing this thing up and firing it up, but this is how it really goes. There's a lot of work into getting everything moved, and everyone's car is completely different. So let's go ahead and get the serpentine belt off, and let's go ahead and get the alternator pulled, and we'll go ahead and get the brackets off and get everything ready to run the alternator relocation kit so we can put the turbo in place, because right now it's hitting directly to the side of the alternator. That's not going to work. We'll get the turbo in place, and then we can get an idea of how bad my fuel lines and how bad the AC lines really are. Okay, whipping out the On3 instruction manual, getting an idea of where all this stuff goes. Here's the layout of the alternator bracket relocation kit, and we'll open this guy up. And we get the brackets. Please all be here. Please all be here. All right. It's actually nice looking stuff here. And good enough, right? This guy, I don't know what it goes to. Doesn't exist on the instruction manual, so yeah. Let's see if we figure this out. Okay, I kind of really wish On3 had a little bit better on instructions, but I think this is going to go here. That. And then we'll have a spacer on this side. This will go to your upper head bolt. There, I think. Okay, so the alternator bracket is on. It does look really good. I'm surprised everything fit as well as it did. I ended up having to use my grade 8 bolt up here. So this is nice and tight. Because this 3G alternator doesn't have a threaded spot here, what On3 I guess suspects or expects you to have. The lower bracket, you know, these two bolts go into your water pump bolts here and there, and you use the spacers to offset it. And then this guy right here, of course, is going into the head.
Still need to tighten him up, but I want the alternator to be able to swivel. So it's nice and loose, but it's not going anywhere. So we have to put the support bracket somewhere. As you can see, there's nowhere for it to attach to. So what we're going to have to do, most likely, is I want to cut a groove out of this metal right here. So that'll allow this to attach to a spot right here. We'll drill a hole there. That'll make sure that it's leaned in against this flat. Just like this right here. Then that'll also make sure that we got room for the belt without it rubbing. So that's cool, but unfortunately there's going to have to be some modifications, so I'm not going to go into too detail about this. I'm just letting you guys know what I have to do to make sure I can keep my AC and everything going. Okay, going back over to my turbo over here, we're going to go ahead and take the cap off the bottom. I'm not going to worry about plumbing the turbo oil feed drain, or the feed line, or the drain line. This is simply, again, just for mock-up. So we'll pull the cap off. Now notice that On3 gave me 3 grade 8 bolts, but I've got 4 nuts for these bolts, so I'm assuming they did not give me all the bolts. So it looks like I'm missing one, and that's okay. These are also your lock style washing bolts here, or nuts, excuse me. These are locking style nuts, so I don't want to put these on just yet. So what we'll do is find some other nuts to thread on this bolt. And we'll get 2 or maybe even just 3 of them on, just to hold it in place. Again, this is just for mock-up. Clearly, we have to do something about this radiator hose sooner than later. But the turbo is in the spot that it's supposed to be in, and that is good. It is clocked completely wrong, and that's okay. We'll have to reclock all this, point it down. Okay, well, the turbo is in, and again, this is great. We're marking all this stuff up because now I know that I'm going to have to obviously switch this out. I knew I was going to do that anyways, but I do need to go ahead and take care of the upper radiator hose because that is no bueno. We know we need to alter this bracket to be able to put the alternator bar there, the tension bar. This is right up against the heater bar here, but the closer we can get in this way, the better. I'm not worried about belt length. We can figure that out later. The turbo exhaust side, this guy right here needs to be clocked so the oil feed is 90 degrees straight up and down, and it's definitely not. It's pointed this way, so we'll have to do that as well. I'm not going to worry about that until final installation, but everything is here. You can see that the oil line is going to go like this. I'm not really a fan of the way that it pokes up, so we're going to have to tie it back and do something with it as well. And we have to rerun all of our electrical cables. I've got now to get the alternator cable somehow back from underneath the fender here and then up to the back of the alternator here without hitting any of the exhaust tubing, which is freaking everywhere right now on this side. Same with this side. So this side we've got to go through, relocate the alternator bracket here. It's basically touching the header. We have to move up and get off the power steering lines, which is touching the header as well. It's actually touching the crossover. And we have to move the ground cable. It's also down there and touching. So nonetheless, it's in, it's fit, and I've got a long list now. Got my hole drilled. I've located some washers and nuts. So what we ought to be able to do is just simply this on like so. All right. And what I've discovered was with this spacer, there's still plenty of room here without having to grind this bracket down, which is great. And also when you put the belt on here, because the angle of the belt coming up here, it doesn't hit. So we'll tighten it all up and test it one more time, but I'm certain that this will not hit. Cool. Now what we're gonna do is bolt or tighten down this bottom bracket, and we got plenty of adjustability. I went ahead and adjusted this as much as I pretty much could this way, but as you can see, we got more adjustability. If we wanted to bring it in, we could. Or if we wanted to also bring it back out to tighten and tension it, we could do that as well. So I got plenty of room out, plenty of room in. I need to bring this one back in. I'm gonna run out of thread. Okay, got some coolant draining here.
Let some of it drain out so we can take care of the upper radiator hose. Let me show you what I got for it.
So instead of using the SN95 style hose, which a lot of guys do for this kit, I went ahead and spring for this. This is a 45-degree elbow off, basically it's a Vortech part. So it's for a 5-liter Mustang like ours, and this is for a Vortech supercharger. This is going to allow us to run the cable or the hose like this. I like this option because this is completely in the way. The S95 is going to snake it somewhere like this, however it still kind of lays on top of your alternator and on top of the side of the turbo. I want to get it completely out and away and cross right above this section here. If we're lucky, it'll just lay right on top of our adjusting bracket for the alternator. And anyways, I'm getting some coolant out so we can remove this. We'll have to cut this hose to use this guy and see how it works. Okay, there we go. This is how I've gotten it right now. This is up high enough. I've got this thing twisted just a little bit to bring the 45 up and over. We've cut down this guy just a little bit so that it could drop down a little bit further. And now this is just resting right above our adjustment bar. So that looks pretty slick. And we don't have a kink in this side anymore. So we've got nice material, got plenty of material. The bar is fact is up here. We could probably cut a lot more, but all this extra material is just going to make it better, make it seal nice and tight. So now we just need to put our clamps back on there, here, and here. And we got plenty of room. Now this is no longer sitting on the turbo. It looks a heck of a lot better and ought to serve its function just fine. And it looks kind of nice too because it is shiny, right? Shiny stuff. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and put clamps on it, and yeah.
Okay, that wraps up the Hotside mocking up install video. We did a lot in this video. I got the basis set up with the turbo kind of installed without the cold piping being installed, which is great. And I accomplished exactly what I was set out to do over this weekend. That was mock up the turbo, see what was in the way, see how everything was going to fit, and then take care of anything that can be taken care of now before later. So the next big step for me is to get all the Hotside stuff off so I can get it off to the powder coating place or the ceramic coating place so they can go ahead and get it ceramic coated. That's going to take 2 weeks for return time. But once that happens, in the meantime, I can go ahead and pull the bumper off. And the next video, we're going to be doing all of that. I'm going to be doing the cold side, mocking all that up, and then hopefully get the parts back for final installation. We still have fuel rails coming in that I need to put in. We still have a PCB system we need to take care of. And a lot of cleanup. So what you're not going to see on camera, and that's going to be consuming a lot of my time, is getting rid of all this stuff that was in the way. I'm going to have to rerun the starter cable, which is over here. I'm going to get this tucked. I don't like the way that it's going here underneath the motor, straight to the starter. That's more of a stock look. We're going to go ahead and tuck it back to where the alternator is running through. So back to the fender here, up one line, back down here, all the way over to the starter. So it's a much longer run. It's going to take a lot of time just to get that right, but that'll get it out away. I'm also already relocated the ground cable that was in the way. We got to tuck up the power steering lines, and we have to wrap the AC lines. So right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing management, cleaning up the engine bay a little bit, getting stuff out and away so that we can finalize everything. Once everything's done, actually do a final install. So I'd say that completes this video, and I think we've done an excellent job. We were making tons of progress. The correct belt for it, and by the way, this was, let's see, this is a 70-inch 6-rib I ended up using on it, and to be honest, it's too tight. This is as short as it can go with no adjustments on the alternator. Probably going to go ahead and just pick up a 71. We had a 72 on it before, it's too long. So I've got a 70, it's too short. I need to try to find a 71. Getting exciting, I'm getting excited. I don't know what to tell you guys. That's it, that wraps it up for this video. So you will be seeing everything I do, every single thing I do to get this turbo installed and running and fired up and on the road is going to be severely documented. Whether you love it or not, that's what I'm here for. So thank you for watching again. Please subscribe. Also follow me on Instagram. Why would you bother doing that? Because I do post pictures and I post updates on everything we're doing in the car before it gets to you. So it's usually a week or two. Lately I'm cranking out videos so much it's a couple days before you'll see some stuff on Instagram before they go live. But anyways, that's it, and thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sticking with me through this install. Hope it helped you out a little bit if you're deciding to go turbo. So see you next time, guys. Take care.